I'm going to take a couple minutes and run through some basic operation of HerperPRO. When you do launch the software, you're brought to the licensing screen, and what we'll do is we will log in with my login. And what the server does now is it goes and validates. Now, because this is the first time that I've installed the software, some information does have to come down from the server. Because I've got the ball python module installed, it's going to bring down a lot of the articles that are located in the ball python module. It has to update information from the world of ball pythons, all the different morphs and things like that. It also has to do its validation check, so it's going to go ahead and do that right now. It usually takes between a minute and 2 minutes the first time, but essentially it's just gathering data and bringing it down. It's already checked your license key, so it knows that you're valid. It wouldn't go through all this downloading if it didn't validate your key first. Okay, so now it's been validated and the data has come down, so we're going to go ahead and hit continue and come into the main screen. This is the main screen of HerperPRO. I guess what I'll do is I'll just give a little bit of an idea of the layout. So this is the main page, or the main page here. This is where your animal information will be. Down the side here will be all the animals listed, either by photo, by nickname, or by ID. I usually go ID, but it's personal preference for everybody. To get to this screen all the time, you'll hit main. Each animal has a HerperPRO ID, which is here. That's assigned by the system. A reptile ID, which is something you'll put in. Your stock status, sex, date of birth, nickname, clutch ID litter if you have it. It also works through all your lineage and everything like that. So depending on how many generations you recorded in HerperPRO, or if you go back and add some information from previous animals or animals that you own and you know, then it can track all the lineage. You can select whether it's venomous or not. You can select the reptile type by popping up the box. You can add new ones whenever you want. Genus, species, subspecies, common name, morph. If you've got ball pythons, if you have other morphs or other animals, boas, leopard geckos, anything like that, you can record the morph types, whether it's het and how many percentages, and you can do up to 4 hets. Actually, you can continue down here and do more. Your parent sire, your parent dam, the origin of the animal, who produced it, who acquired it, date it acquired, and your microchip information here. This screen here, the information at a glance, this is not editable information. It pulls from other pages, so it will have the current age in here, current weight, current length, feedings, things like that. This is a bin cage booklet printing. This goes to the HerperPRO forums. This prints a detailed reptile report for your animal. It's nice to give away when you sell an animal or you transfer an animal to somebody else, or if you just want to share the information on it. And then you have your bin and your rack, assignments here, and then some market information and photos, and the QR code when you have an animal in there. So we'll go ahead and up here, these are the different sections of HerperPRO. So I'm going to go ahead and add an animal real quickly here. So if I want to add a new record, I would hit plus, but I already have a record started because there isn't one in the system yet. So we're going to go ahead and give it a ID, whatever you want, whatever your naming scheme is. 13, 14, male. Okay, it would be in stock, so I would choose sex male. Date of birth, let's say it was born not too long ago. Nickname Fluffy. Clutch ID, I haven't recorded that. I'm going to select the animal type here. It's going to be a ball python. And the morph is going to be a Mojave. And it's going to be 100% het for albino. Okay. The parent sire will be here. I have no sires in the system, so the list would be blank when it came up. Okay, but if I did have some other animals, I could select which ones. The origin, it's going to be a captive bred animal. Produced by, I've got some down here, so let's take Mark Mandic. And acquired by, and that would be acquired by me. And date acquired it, I acquired it just the other day. Lucky me. Okay, so the animal is essentially set up now. So he's in the system, and you can start doing things with him. So you can generate your QR code. So the QR code is here. That prints on the labels, and that is used for scanning and using the goMobile interface. So you'll stick that label on the tank or cage, you'll scan it, and be able to do feedings and things like that. So we can go ahead and add photos to the animal by clicking up here, and here are the 6 possible spots for you to put photos. So we'll go ahead and add a photo, and we will go to, it's here somewhere, here we go, Kingston. We're going to go ahead and add that one to the photo. Now, in order to make this the primary photo, which will go up in the screen here, we're going to go ahead and click this red button there. So we're going to add another photo there, and a third photo there. Okay, so we've got all 3 photos. If I want to make this one the primary, I'll go ahead and hit that one. If I want to make that one the primary, I'll go ahead and hit that one. So if we go back here, it is now on the main page. So now we've set up that animal. It's pretty much complete now. If you want to add some pricing information, whether it's for sale, things like that, you can go ahead and do that. But now we'll go ahead and do a feeding. So we've got the animal in the system right now, so we're going to go ahead and we're going to go look at feedings. So it's a good idea to set the state. This is just how I record my things, so I don't always have to put in the state of the feeding. So it would be reptile, current food would be make this medium frozen, and then you can put the state in there as frozen thawed. Interval days, you can change that to every 5 or every 10 or 12, but I'm going to leave it at every 7. And we'll go ahead and hit plus to create a new feeding record. So the feeding defaults to today, day of the week, today. Default food type that I set up here will go in there. Default condition there, and quantity 1 if you weigh your food, things like that. And then what happens, was it consumed, refused, force-fed, or regurgitated? So we're going to hit consumed. It really depends on how much you want to enter here. You don't have to enter everything everywhere. When I do it, I do the data feeding, I do the type of food, and that's it, because I'm assuming 1. When I have the rare occasion that an animal takes 2 or 3 on my collection, I'll go ahead and put that number in, but otherwise I won't. It then calculates when the next feeding date. So we've recorded that. Same with defecations. You can go ahead and select the date, what happened, what action was taken, how did it look, anything like that. That's just basically some notes. Same with the shedding. So you can record all that information there. We have no storage set up yet, so I'm going to go ahead and create storage for this animal, where it's located. So I'll click storage. We have none set up yet, so we're going to go ahead and set up the first one. So the default would be rack and bin, so we're going to set up a rack. We're going to set up rack number 1. There's going to be 5 in the rack. The starting number is going to be 1, and the container info size would be 41 quart. 41 quart. Okay, we're going to go ahead and create that. So it's set up now, my rack. So I've got rack 1 here, and these are the cage numbers for that rack and the size of that rack. Currently they're all empty, so I'm going to go ahead and go back to the animal, and we're going to go ahead and assign it. So up here we go rack stack number, so we're going to click assign. What type are we assigning? We're going to be assigning a rack, and all my rack options come up. So they are empty. I'm going to assign that one to him. Okay, so now he is assigned to rack 1 and bin 1. If we go back to storage, we actually can turn on over here the allow multiple animals per bin. So if I click that, then I can assign 2 animals to that bin or 5 animals to that bin. It's good for leopard geckos, and sometimes pet stores use that when they have multiple animals in a cage, just to keep track of what's going on with each of those animals. So I'm going to leave it off for now on my system. Okay, in order to play with some of the other things that we have, I'm going to have to go ahead and do an import. So I'm going to import some old data into the system here. So in order to do an import and backups, I would go to the dashboard up here. I'm going to hit backup and import, and I'm going to import records. So it always asks me if I want to do a backup when I go to import. I'm going to say no. I want to proceed anyway. It warns me a couple times, do backups. There's my backup. We're going to go ahead and import it. Importing takes either a short amount of time or a long period of time. There's a 150 megabyte backup that I'm bringing in, which is about 100 animals, and most of them have pictures and data going back, almost a year. So there's a fair amount in here. Collections of 400 animals, 500 animals. They could be 3 or 400 meg in size. But once you have it imported, it doesn't change the speed of the system at all. It just the importing and the backup do take a little bit longer. So once it finishes, it will check all the indexes, make sure everything came in right, and present you with the information. When the backup is complete, it will go back to this screen. It'll say, okay, it's done. And hit OK, and then as if we were logging in for the first time. If you take a look on the left-hand side here, we've got a bunch of different animals now in the system. Everything is color-coded, pink for the females, blue for the males, and then your selected one would be in that color there. Not sure what unknown does. If I take a sex and I have to unlock the record before I changed it because I had all mine locked, I'm going to make it unknown. It keeps the same as it was last time. Oh, there's the color there. Okay, so if it's unknown, that'll be the color. So we're going to go ahead and go back to, what sex was this? This was female. Okay, and I'm going to lock the record back up. Just remember, you can always lock and unlock your records. You can also mass unlock the records by going to your dashboard, going into General, and lock all or unlock all here in the bottom. Okay, while I'm on this screen, I'll just take a look at a couple other things. This is the General tab, which your licensing information is in. If you ever change your licensing information, you put it in there and click Validate the software. Auto update the module. You can turn that off or on, and that'll speed up the screen. Disable module feed, and you can disable or turn on which way you want it. And I'll show you what that is in a minute on the modules, and then remind me to back up. So I always ask to be reminded to back up. So we'll go back to the main page now. We've got the ball python module installed in this system here. So really all it does is it changes this main screen here. So we'll go ahead and click the ball python module. So this side here, the morph information becomes much more robust. It's provided by World of Ball Pythons. This side here will give you a data feed of all ball python news from the Reptile Report, and they gather all their report from all across the internet. So it's pretty current and up-to-date information in there. Now if we go back to the control panel like we were, and we go to General, we can actually show default info on startup screen. We'll go back to main, and back here it's turned off the Reptile Report screen, and it's got back to your old information, even when you're in the ball python module. Okay, and then over here we've got the morph information from the ball python module. So we'll I like it when it's got the Reptile Report in there, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to leave that on. If we go back to all and go to the ball python module, there we go. Just because I like reading about what's going on and staying current on information in the industry. So here we go. We're back at the screen of this animal, and this is you can go back and see the full information. If you click all again, it shows all your animals. If you go to ball python, it actually filters out the non-ball pythons. So I'll go back here. In here it does have my colubrids, it's got my emerald tree boas, my womas, things like that, and my boas. But if we go back here to ball pythons, it's just got ball pythons in it. So we'll go ahead and this animal here, let's say I've got somebody who's interested in it. What we can do is we can, this new feature we've added is a share. It will go and pull up this information here. You can type in who the share is going to, email, subject, and then you can include all this information that you want down here. And it will create an email that goes directly to the person with your company information if you choose, and a note. If you send it here, it'll go directly to them. So you're sharing all the information that's in here. It's a great sales tool, great tool to keep business partners and things like that updated also. Okay, so back to the main screen. A couple things that to navigate around in the system are these buttons across the top here. So this would be go to the first record in the system. This would be go to the previous, next, last. This button here is to add a new record. This is to create a similar record. So let's say I'm putting in a clutch of babies. I put in the the dam, the sire, origin, who produced it, when it was produced, date of birth, things like that, clutch litter ID, genus, species, subspecies, morph. So I put all that information into the first one that I do, and then when I click this button, it would go ahead and replicate all that into another one. So then I've got maybe 3 or 4 of these cells that I have to fill out to create another animal. So to create 20 animals takes 5 minutes instead of having to enter all the information back in. So it's a handy little tool for breeders. This X here would delete the record. This will filter records. So you can make an animal active or inactive using this button over here, and then this will allow you to filter the record. So it will show active, inactive, or all. I always have mine on all because I generally delete inactive records. I go ahead and print a report for the customer, email them all the information that they need, and it sends it all to them. So then I no longer have the animal in my system. It also helps a little bit with size of the database. This next one here is view customers. You can actually deal with all your customers in the system. You can create invoices in the system. I'm not going to go into that right now, but I will in another video on how to use that part of the system. So you can go ahead and do all your invoicing, if you're running a business through the software. I'm going to go ahead and print some labels now for the cage cards, for the cage labels with the QR codes. So we're going to go ahead and select this animal here. Up here, next to the HerperPRO ID, there is the printer icon, so you're going to go ahead and press that. So you're going to select your type of label you want to print, and this is the large 4x2s. On the bottom here is the 30 per sheet ones. These tend to be the most popular, the ones on the bottom here, so we're going to go ahead and print that one. Next screen will allow you to print more than the one that you selected, so we can go ahead and print all of them. So I'm going to print labels for the entire collection, so we're going to hit print label for the entire collection. Now this here will ask you where to start printing the labels. So if you've got a sheet that you've already used 3 or 4 or 6 labels, you go ahead and select 11. It would start at 11. Then it goes ahead and generates the label sheets. And then you can print either directly to your printer or through to Adobe PDF, and then if you have an Adobe PDF printer installed, that is, or to the Windows Writer, and then go ahead and print from that directly to your printer. I like to do that first, print it to an intermediate like PDFs or the XPS image writer, just so I can make sure that it's all going to line up before I go and I fire off 10 sheets of labels. Okay, next thing I'm going to look at is the inventory. Now this inventory is your animal inventory, your rat inventory, so we'll go ahead and select the type. So you've got 16 different types here. I'm going to go ahead and select the large rats. If you want to restock them, I received 89, and I'm going to go ahead and restock those in. Or if I went and I fed off 6 today, go ahead and remove those from the stock quantities. You can go ahead and add in here all the different types of food and things like that you have. Now in order to manage the lists, I'll go back over here, and these are your lists. These are the main sections, or the main information that it pulls for all the pages. So in our earlier versions, this was all, we put it in, and you couldn't change it. So what we've done is we've made it so that you can modify your own lists now. Before, when you would add something to a screen, let's say you went and you added in here produced by Joe, right? It would then be added to your list of produced by people. So, and there was no way to change that. So if you never want to deal with that person again, or you no longer deal with them, or you spelled it wrong or something like that, you were stuck with it before. No longer. We're now able to go ahead and go over. Oh, this was Henry Bjorn. Okay. So now he is back into the list. So we'll go over here and we'll go back to the list here, and we'll manage lists. And if we go down here to the produced by, I'm not sure where I've got it here, breeders. There we go. So we'll go ahead and we can add him permanently to it instead of just the one time. Bjorn. There we go. So now he is in the system. So you can do that with all your different your contacts, your credit card types, defecation, urination, what actually happened. These are just for the pull-down boxes. You can still type in most of these boxes what you want. These are just default things that you can select. Okay, so there they all are. Remove a bunch, things that you never use, just for easier selection, things like that, or add any ones that you want. We'll go ahead now take a look at the module management section each module as they come out. Currently we only have the ball python module, but as they come out you'll be able to purchase these modules. And if you take a look, they really don't take anything away from the system. They don't add any additional record keeping features. What they do is they actually streamline a little bit. So for instance, if we go to the ball python module, if you take a look at this screen right here, this would be the ball python modules morph selector. If we go back, this is the regular one. So this applies to all types of animals. This only applies to ball pythons if you go to the ball pythons. So we're going to go ahead and select. See, if you take a look here, we can select from every animal that World of Ball Pythons currently has in their database. Now this is updated for us on a daily basis. We go ahead and get the information from World of Ball Pythons and we store it on our servers, and then when you do your authentication, that's what it's doing. It's actually checking, hey, do I have a license, and B, here's the information from the World of Ball Pythons, so it brings it down. So if a new animal is added to the World of Ball Pythons today, you'll be able to go ahead and take a look at it in the system tomorrow, right after we do the update. So we'll go ahead and take, let's say, Mystic Sterling here. So now that we've got it here, you can click. So this is a Mystic Sterling. It is a codominant designer mutation. It's got Cinnamon, Mystic, and Super Pastel in it. You can actually go down here, click this button here, and it'll take you right to the Mystic Sterling page at World of Ball Pythons. Go back to the software here, so you can actually do some research into the different morphs. So I'm going to go make sure I put this back to normal, and it is 100% het albino. So easily changed, just type it in, and then AKA under here, wild type classic. That's just what World of Ball Pythons calls that one. So we'll click it on here. So we'll put the normal here. And if you take a look, it's just it's not a morph. It's just a normal wild type. Go ahead and close that. I'm just going to touch on one other thing with this small overview of HerperPRO. It's so feature rich, and we have so many different things within the software that it's impossible to do it in 20 minutes. So just one other thing that I want to look at, and that's the goMobile interface. Now, what happens with this is you'll scan your QR code with any smartphone or tablet that has a browser on it. It will go to this screen here, and it'll allow you to record different events, from feeding events to breeding events to cleaning events, all sorts of different things that you would normally do in the software. But this way you can just, if you're in your snake room or you're near your animal and you want to record something real quick that happened, you'll just pull out your phone and hit that QR code and go ahead and make the recording. Then you'll go back to your computer and you will press this Start goMobile. And it always asks you if you want to do a backup. It's always safe to do a backup, but I'm going to go ahead and continue without a backup because I'm a bit of a rebel. So what happens is it now pulls down all the recent information that that I recorded with my goMobile. So I've gone and I've recorded a breeding. I've recorded some feedings, and it matches them up to the animal. So you click that one time, you just go over this, make sure everything's right, and then click import. So let's just make a note of Cluebrid 113F. So we're going to go ahead and import that. Now it's been done, it's been imported, so we're going to go ahead and we're going to find that animal on the list here. We're going to go over to feedings, and you'll note that the feeding is there. Right? It happened, today's Wednesday, but I actually did it yesterday, and it imported it and put the feeding in and the condition and everything else. So it defaults it to feed. So that recording is now in the system. Now, whenever you do something in the goMobile interface, it'll stay in the cloud. It'll stay on our servers until you bring it down. Once you bring it down, it's no longer available. So we'll go back here and we'll go back to goMobile and we'll go ahead and start, and we'll try to do another import, and there aren't any records found because I haven't done anything since the last time I imported. So we've gone ahead and imported. So I leave mine sometimes for 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 days. I'll go ahead and import, and there'll be 200 records coming in on different things that happen, and then I can go back to my system here. It's all in here, and it all is in
all the reports and all the data is matched up to the animals. So it's really a really great system where you don't have to sit and tie to your computer. You can actually do it mobile and then have all your information safe and secure on your own computer, not hosted somewhere online on a permanent basis. So there's an overview. I'll do some specific videos in the next little while on different areas on how to use them in depth. But if you have any questions, please visit us at HerperPRO.com and hit the support button on the left.